Hey folks, 80 here. Back to basics, part 4. What I'm going to be doing on this one here is making up a panel. I need to do 2 panels. I need to do one for my actual layout. But what I will be doing is show you how to do a simple, straightforward, basic panel for the new section, which you can adopt to your layout with any fancy dangle gadgetry and anything like that. So to get started, I've got this sheet of styrene plastic. I'm going to shorten it down and the smaller section for the new panel. Now, if you watch the first 2-3 parts of Back to Basics, you will see that I have actually labelled all the wiring, and this is where labelling the wiring pays off. Now, as you can see, I have actually got a diagram here of my current big layout, which has got all my block detectors in place. It's got my switch motors, what the addresses are. This is roughly the map that is for the existing layout. Now for this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a schematic on here and paint it up. Now, where this comes in handy with the labelling, you can put your points of what you're going to have on your distribution board. Another thing that's worthwhile keeping in mind is when you do make one of these, keep in mind to make room for expansions for your layout. If you're planning on making a big layout, make sure you leave enough space on it. You can actually use one board to operate the whole layout. Think about the electronics and whatnot you want to put on here. So what I'm doing on here is I'm going to do a point switch for the turnouts, which I have. I'm going to be using a spring-loaded one. That's going to go here. Then I'm going to have block detection in for the line coming in, the siding, and the main line. It's going to have 2 lights. If you remember, I've actually blocked it off twice. And that's going to give me indication where the train is on the track, and also going to have 2 LEDs here that indicate which way the points have been thrown. Now on this panel here, I'm going to actually have, which is my advanced one, I'm going to have my main power switches here. I'm going to have an amp meter, a few extra spare switches, and then I'm going to have the schematic of the sections of the layout. Okay, so I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave it from here. I'm going to go and paint this up. It's going to be a gloss black finish on this, and I'm going to paint it and I'll come back and we'll do all the other markings on it. Okay, be back soon. So when you try to do some painting and dry up some dirt, you get a neighbour up the hill that sends you this. Sounds good, doesn't it? And yes, just water in the drains. That's going to fill up a bit more later on. So, yeah. Thanks, Gary. Okay, so here we are, back at it. After all that, yeah, it looks very black. Now let's have a look at the outcome. I'm not going to worry about the signals for now. So there you go, that's the panel. Straightforward and simple. One thing I did forget to put on this and allow for is my UPT panel, which should go technical on the side here somewhere. So never mind, this panel itself can be, I'll be able to reuse it somewhere else down the track. So yeah, that's where we are at now. I'll drill the holes and I'll show you what I do with my wiring here. Okay, so I've gone and drill the holes out. I've even drill the hole out for the switch, which should fit in there nicely as such. Yes. Alright, but I won't screw that into place at this point in time because I need to wire that up. One thing I didn't do is clean the burrs off the plastic. Very good. Okay, leave it at that. Since I'm doing this as a simple, easy panel that everybody can do, I am going to go with the block detectors there, the lights. I'm going to use a 3mm red. I'll get my LED, so I've got my 3mm reds. I'm going to put them into place. Yes, that's going to fit in there nicely. Or should I use 5mm? Actually, I might use 5mm. Should I use 5mm? I'm going to have to drill that hole, bigger hole. No, I'm going to use I'm going to use, what do I need? I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what I'm going to do with these, because they are going to be, the hole is a little bit bigger than what I expected, I'm going to use a tiny bit of white wood glue, or even PVA glue, and glue that into place here. So now these two here, the indicator lights, oh, let me have a look what I've got. I'll use 3mm there as well. I think it's these ones. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to use these ones here because they're pretty easy and simple to wire up. They only have basically, looks like 2 different sizes. No, the right size. Okay, because these ones here are pretty easy to wire up. So I need 2 of them. I'll show you how these ones work. We've basically got, I've got one that's already, no, alright, take one out. Okay, the way these work is, the way these ones will work straight off in conjunction with your tortoise motor. Right, this one will be a ground, and your positive wires come into there from the tortoise motor. Okay, depending on which side it hits, I'll actually change the red and green. Okay, so I went ahead and soldered all the LEDs and the switches and whatnot for this board and another one. I'm quickly throwing in together this box to put all the wiring in. Yeah, it is rough, but it's only a temporary thing, as I intend to use this panel later on down the track. So all I've got to do is unscrew it and put it in another spot. Okay, so what do I have on my panel? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 block detection lights to indicate where the train is. I have my point indication here, or my switch indication there, and a toggle switch, which is a sprung loaded one. Since I'm using Snap It, or I can even use this on my mini panel, this acts like a push button, but I prefer the toggle switch. So up is for my main, and down is for my siding. Now, I've used the big one to indicate my main line, and the little one here to indicate my siding. This light here is basically to indicate that the train is in the section. I need to put a dividing line here, because that indicator there is basically giving me indication that the switch is occupied, because the way I'm doing this section here is that this block detector here is going to trigger a crossing that's here. So, and this light here would just indicate that there's a train waiting to come in. Okay, now underneath, as you see, there's a bunch of wires here at the moment. I will prep the block indicators, lights. I actually have, I'll get back to it in a minute. I do have 3 wires. It's bi-coloured LEDs for my block detection, and I'll explain to you why shortly. So that's my block detection. That's my toggle switch. These wires here are for my point motors, point switches. They'll be hooked up into the tortoise, and more block detections here. I just realised there are a couple of switches that I did not put in place, which I will, which is for my lighting and a couple of other things which I am going to put there and on here before I go any further. Now, the reason behind why I've got bi-coloured lights here for my track indication, later on down the track, when I do more advanced basic electrics, I'm going to use the green as indicator that the track is set for that line. And when the train is actually gone over it, it'll actually trigger it to red. And once the train's cleared, the lights will clear out. Working on an old system that used to, and I think some places still use it as, using a similar old system that used to be run down at my local station. It's because it was a signal box there as well, or switching tower inside the station building. That's the way a lot of it worked. So I'm going to try to imitate that on here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill another 2 holes here for my lights and put another 2 more switches in. I think it's 2 or 3 switches I need here. And then we'll go into wiring it all up. So as you see here now, okay, I've got all the wiring in place. I'll also include the signals, which will be at a later tutorial, but I'll pull it all into place. Yes, there does seem to be a lot of wires. I always put extra wires when I'm soldering onto LEDs and switches. It's a lot easier to shorten the wires than what it is to lengthen the wires. So by the time we finish hooking that all up, it'll be all nice and neat and tidy. Now I've glued the signal LEDs into place, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit and wait and let the glue set, and we'll get back to hooking it all up. Okay, now that the glue's set, I'm going to work out, or I'm going to start putting the wiring together. So what I'm going to do first off, and this is one thing that I emphasise regularly about wiring on your layouts, regardless how small or how big it may be. I always emphasise that to label your wiring for what it is. Okay, so these ones here are going to be for, I know myself, these are going to be for my light switches. For my buildings, streets and whatnot, they're going to be lighting for that, and a spare. Okay, so I have my signal lights and my turnouts. So for now I know that these lot here go together. I've got a track detector. As you see, I've actually labelled this one already. Let me turn this upside down. Now what I've done is I've actually drilled a hole underneath here to take my cabling out. So that's what I'm going to do now, slowly, one by one. I can do it in here, but I will put some in here, the wires and connections, but the rest of them will be outside, because one, there are some items that I'm going to be doing that I am still experimenting with. So once I set the board up, I don't want to be unscrewing it. Okay, so here we are, folks. Notes taken for so this has taken me a bit to sort out. I did end up having some wires too short, so I had to lengthen them. I'd rather have more wire than less wire. So as you see, all the wires been fed through. I've had to glue the signal lights into place. I've got my panel. Just had a bit of a mishap there with a couple of things, but it's all there now. So I'm going to screw this all into place. All the wires being fed. So what I'm going to do with on a lot of these fuses and connectors, I'm going to get these terminal blocks, this terminal block, and I'm going to put one light here where I'm going to connect all the wires, screw this up onto the board, and then the rest will be connected as according to the wiring underneath the layout. So I'll just prep all this up and we'll get back to it, eh? Okay. Okay, so the front's all screwed in now into place, bar these 4 screws, but it's pretty much done. Now, at the back here you will see I put the terminal strips in place. I marked out the connections. These are basically all my signals because they're going to have signal indication here. They're going to be they'll work in conjunction with the signals. So whatever signals are shown, it will show on my panel. I've got my block detection indicator lights all pre-wired into the terminal strip here, which are that one, that one, that one, that one, and this one here. That's all pre-wired. Then I've got this one here, which is the toggle switch and indicator light. So that's the toggle switch, and these 2 indicator lights here that indicate which way the turnout's thrown. And the only thing I haven't put on the terminal strip, because I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to do it, and that's the wiring for my lights on the township. That's what these wires are for. And this one here is going to the other layout, so these are going to be extended further down the track, but I don't have enough terminal strips available at this point in time. So this is going to be done a bit later on. So this is all ready now. We're going to take this, bolt it on, and hook it all up. The only thing we're going to work on this time is to hook up the turnouts and have the turnout indicators working. And then in the next part of back to basics is I'm going to be working with the track detectors. Now I've got 2 wiring system here. I've got the red and green wires, but I'll explain more in the next one. And signalling also, that's going to be a separate topic. So we'll go now and hook this up and see how it look on the panel. So the switch has been connected. As you can see, I've got the branch line, it's showing red, and the main line showing green. So we've got it working. So if I flick the switch to the toggle switch to flick for the siding, just hit it and it turns, and now you can see the green here and the top one's going to be red. Okay, and then return it the other way, just hit the toggle switch and it does the same thing in reverse. So let's go and have a look at the top. So now we're at the top of the toggle switch, top of the point. So again, I'll just flick it and it turns, changes the track. So that's for the end of the basics for the panel on the switches. So stay tuned for going back to basics 5, which we'll be looking at doing block detection on the indicator boards without using an AIU01s. As I said, it's just going back to basics. See you then.